a show where we watch movies from our movie list of shame or movie blind spots. I'm Adam.
I'm Andy.
This week we're watching some movies that I've never seen, some musicals, and to tell you about it, excuse me, we're keeping that, I guess. Tell you all about that, I'm going to toss it over to Andy. What are we watching today?
Jerry Travers is starring in a new show in London and enjoying his bachelorhood with no strings because he's fancy free. But he soon finds himself smitten with a young woman named Dale Tremont. Jerry will follow her all the way to Italy to win her heart in Top Hat.
Hello. Won't you come in? I'm awfully glad you dropped in.
I dropped up from the room below where I've been trying to get some sleep.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize I was disturbing you. You see, every once in a while, I suddenly find myself dancing.
Oh, I suppose it's some kind of an affliction.
Yes, it's an affliction. Somebody's dance.
So Top Hat was directed by Mark Sandrich. Mark Sandrich directed a few of the Fred Astaire Ginger Rogers films. He directed movies like Follow the Fleet and Shall We Dance. I think there's one or two others. I didn't write them down. But he also directed the movie Holiday Inn, the musical Holiday Inn. It's written by Dwight Taylor and Alan Scott. They also wrote some of the other Fred Astaire Ginger Rogers films. And it's based on two plays, Scandal in Budapest and A Girl Who Dares. The lyrics and music are done by some guy named Irving Berlin. Who
didn't accomplish anything in his life.
He didn't. What a loser. No, Irving Berlin is known for a ton of famous songs, including songs like Easter Parade, White Christmas, Happy Holiday, and God Bless America, all written by Irving Berlin, as well as countless others. And then the music score for Top Hat was done by Max Steiner. He's credited kind of as musical director. Max Steiner was a prolific composer from the golden age of the movies. Top Hat stars Fred Astaire as Jerry Travers, Ginger Rogers as Dale Tremont, Edward Everett Horton, who basically made a career out of playing the characters that he plays in Top Hat. He plays Horace Hardwick. Eric Bloor plays his butler, manservant Bates.
His lover.
Helen Broderick plays his wife, Madge Hardwick. Helen Broderick is the mother of actor Broderick Crawford, who won an Academy Award for All the King's Men. Eric Rhodes plays Alberto Bedini. And if you look fast, and I never remember to look fast, but Lucille Ball apparently has a very small bit part. I don't think she has any lines as a flower shop girl.
And I think they have this scene in Becoming the Ricardos in one of the flashbacks.
In which movie?
Becoming the Ricardos. The Ricardos.
Gotcha.
What was it called? Being the Ricardos.
Yeah.
Because they have flashback to where she was found, and I think she's Flower Girl.
I forgot all about that.
I think it's I think it's this movie. I could be wrong. I'm remembering.
Yeah,
and I'm not great at any of that.
I think your memory is better than mine. Yeah, I vaguely recall that. I think. So the songs from Top Hat, a lot of them are kind of well known or pretty well known. Songs include Top Hat, White Tie and Tails. That's all one title. Cheek to Cheek, which is super famous. Even I know that song. Isn't This a Lovely Day to Be Caught in the Rain? And The Piccolino. So this is a movie that I've seen, I don't know, probably 2 times before this. This is probably my 3rd time to see it. So I've seen, I think, Swing Time in the theater. I saw that at the Paramount Theater in Austin. I don't think it's Top Hat. I always get those confused. I'm like, was it Top Hat that I saw in the theater or Swing Time? But I believe it's Swing Time that I saw in the theater. Of course, it doesn't really make any difference to you out there. I'm just kind of mentally going through the checklist. But anyway, I have seen this movie before. You've never seen, I don't think, any Fred Astaire Ginger Rogers movies until now.
I don't think I have, yeah.
And now you've seen 2.
I've seen 2 this week. Spoiler alert for Wednesday.
Yeah. So, obviously, you know who Fred Astaire is.
Yep.
You're aware of Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers. They've showed clips from some of their movies and some other movies like The Green Mile and some other movies like that. So, I guess, what did you know about Top Hat other than Fred Astaire's A Dancing Fool?
I knew nothing going into it at all. Actually, is Fred Astaire in... Is he in Roman Holiday, or is that in...
No,
that's... Or Holiday Inn, or is that in different... Holiday Inn, sorry, not Roman Holiday.
No, I don't... I can't remember who's in Holiday. Bing Crosby and
somebody.
I don't know. I guess we could look it up. I don't remember.
I've seen Holiday Inn. So I don't.
Okay.
If he's in that, I've seen a Fred Astaire movie. If not, chances are I probably have not seen the Fred Astaire movie.
Okay.
Until this week.
All right.
Did
it get you to dancing? Did this movie get you to dancing?
So I didn't know much about Top Hat going into it. I think overall I liked it. It's interesting watching these movies with Kirby because she's really amazed by the technical prowess of the dancing of like Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers, and she's always like, oh, she's like Fred Astaire is so much better than Ginger Rogers, and to me it all looks the same. Like I don't have like a very sharp perception, or I'm not well tuned with what makes dancing great. It's just like, okay, they're dancing. Like I don't know.
I can't do that. That's what I say. I'm like, that looks cool because I can't do that.
So I can't tell if it's good or bad dancing. I'm sure if it's in a movie and it's supposed to be good, it's going to be good, right?
Yeah.
So for me, it's like, okay, they're dancing and they're kind of having fun with it and stuff like that. But to kind of talk about like Wednesday's episode a little bit, like they did something a little bit different than I've seen with the dancing that I was like, oh, okay. Even for like a lay person like me, like I get this. This is really cool and I really enjoy it.
Yeah.
So stay tuned to Wednesday for me to talk about that in a little bit more detail. So I thought the dancing numbers were interesting and cute and all that kind of stuff. I do have like, I like I said, I overall liked it. I'm not over the moon with the movie. There's a couple of things that I'm not like completely on board with. Like I think that mistaken identity part where she thinks that, Jerry Travers is, Horace Hardwick goes on a little too long. And maybe that's just the nature of the time and the fact that these kind of like mistaken identity movies maybe weren't as big of a thing as they are, now like 90 years later or whatnot.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm like, okay, I get the gag. Like I want to move on kind of past it. Like I'm kind of over the mistaken identity gag. Like that ran a little too long for me. The other thing is like, the stuff I liked was when he was dancing in the room above and they were kind of having their kind of quibble like inside the hotel, and like it was like, to me that felt very like His Girl Friday and felt very like fast and quirky and kind of like that stuff. And it really kind of lost me when they went to Venice. Like I really don't feel like the Venice stuff added much to the movie at all. You know what I mean? Like we're in the gondolas and stuff, but I don't feel like anything they do in Venice is special to just Venice. Like I don't see anything they could have gone to Spain, they could have gone to London. Like I feel like it could be interchangeable with any kind of other city because there's nothing like super special about like what Venice did or told about their characters to them there. You know what I mean? So for me, it's like I really liked them more in the hotel, and I kind of wish they were doing things more in and around and of the hotel rather than like jet setting off to another country and doing stuff there, right? So so overall I enjoyed the singing, I enjoyed the dancing, even though I can't tell how awesome it is technically, and I like the movie overall. I like Jerry Travers, and I like Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers kind of chemistry and all that, and just wish that they kind of did some things a little different with the mistaken identity and all that kind of stuff. So overall enjoyed it, just still had a little bit of quibbles with it in this viewing, if that makes any sense. So you said you've seen it before, and you're probably seeing it for the third or fourth time this time.
I think so, yeah.
What'd you remember about Top Hat, and what'd you think about Top Hat this time around?
Because I always get this in Swing Time confused. I honestly didn't remember a lot because I've not seen all of their movies. I've seen this, I've seen Swing Time, I've seen the Barclays of Broadway, and I don't know that I've seen any outside of that. Maybe one other one, but I couldn't tell you what it was. And so when I think of Fred Astaire, Ginger Rogers movies, obviously I think, they dance a lot in those movies, but I don't remember specific plot points really to any of them. And so watching this movie and the movie we watched on Wednesday, it's not like I was watching them for the first time. And I remembered certain things about them as I was watching them, but it's been a while, I think. Yeah. So I didn't really remember a whole lot about either film if I can get all that out. But I love this movie. I love Top Hat. I think it's really, really funny. I don't think the mistaken identity stuff goes on too long because once that's up, I'm like, where are they going to go from here? Because he follows her to Italy, and the whole time she's still thinking that it's Madge's husband. She thinks that it's Horace. And that just makes it even funnier when she meets Madge, because Madge is saying all these things thinking that it is her husband. And so, like, when she's like, yeah, he chased me through the park, and he kissed me, and he did all this stuff. She's like, well, I didn't know he had that in him. You know, like, I didn't know he was capable of that much exercise. She says some kind of line like that. And then when they do meet at the little dinner or whatever that they have, he's like, oh, it's you or whatever. And so Madge doesn't introduce them still. And so she's like, oh, well, you two have already met, so I don't need to say. So it continues to go on even longer. And it's funny when they're dancing because Madge is like, get closer together, basically. And she's like, what? And Dale's like, what? You swingers? Like, what are we doing here? Like, I think that's really, really funny. But I think the plot is funny, even though, like you said, I mean, I think now we've seen a million movies with mistaken identity and stuff like that. I still think the plot's really, really funny, particularly Helen Broderick's character, Madge, because I feel like she has all kind of the best lines. You know, talking about like, oh, my husband did that? Like, what the, you know, and all this stuff. Or there's one part where, what is it? Alberto, I think, kisses, because he's like Italian or whatever, he kisses Horace on the cheeks, and Madge is like, oh no, you guys go ahead, you know, I'll just wait or whatever, you know, that kind of thing.
I think there's a lot of funny. I think there's a lot of like, I think the term is now queer coding and Horace's character, because whenever he first brings Jerry home, like his butler Bates is like in like bedroom, like nighttime attire, like a robe and stuff like that, and they're kind of having almost, it seems it could be construed, or at least in my head it was construed as like a lover's quarrel a little bit, and it seems like Madge is kind of like she's kind of doing her own thing separate, you know, kind of living her life, and then letting, you know, Bates and Horace kind of get together. So I turned to Kirby while we're watching this, I'm like, is this coded that way? Like, are they supposed to be, you know, queer characters and stuff like that? So I would be curious. I obviously haven't done any research. I'd be curious if other people feel that way, or if it was an intention of the movie. Maybe.
I know. So this movie came out when the Hays Code was in effect, and the Hays Code was something that came about, I think, in 1934. So anything, you know, that you always talk about pre-code Hollywood. So that was anything before the Hays Code was enforced, and the Hays Code was around all the way up until the 60s. So they couldn't get away with certain things that were more risque or whatever. But I wrote down in my notes, like, I still feel like there's some things that skirt right on that edge of being a little bit more kind of risque or a little more daring, you know, such as maybe something like you described, you know. But they couldn't be overt with it, right? You know, whereas nowadays they could, but back then it was like they had to be careful of any kind of censorship or whatever. But I really think the movie's really funny. I'm like you, I don't know the first thing about dancing or tap dancing or that stuff, so it all looks good to me.
Yeah, as long as they're not falling over each other.
As long as they don't suck. Which obviously they don't. You know, if they had any mistakes, those wouldn't go in the movie. But yeah, I think it's wonderful to see Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers dance. And I think even probably in their worst films, you know, the parts where they dance, you're like, cool. And the rest of it, you're like, oh, this is kind of lame or whatever. But I love the dancing. I love the songs as well, the Irving Berlin songs. I think the songs are really good. Obviously, I would say arguably Cheek to Cheek, at least to me, is the most well-known song from the movie. But I really like the other songs. I like the Piccolino. I like Isn't This a Lovely Day to Be Caught in the Rain, when they're like in the gazebo thing and it's raining and they're dancing. I just think all that's just so charming. I really, really love it.
I like the gazebo stuff a whole lot. For me, I thought the music, I was expecting, because I saw Irving Berlin, you know, in the credits. I was expecting the music to be more memorable than it actually is for me. Like, I can't sing you the tune Cheek to Cheek or Top Hat or you know, White Tie and Tails, all that stuff. Like, those songs didn't, you know, sink in very far for me.
I don't think, I mean, aside from Cheek to Cheek, like, if you'd asked me a week ago before I watched this again, like, how does Top Hat, White Tie, and Tails go? I'd be like, I don't know, you know. But like, seeing it again, it refreshed my memory. But Cheek to Cheek is just one of those songs I've heard plenty of times outside of this movie. I feel like that's just such a standard kind of romantic kind of song or whatever. But no, I mean, I think this movie is just, again, effortlessly charming. It's just a breezy watch. It reminds me a lot of, not plot wise, but just Singing in the Rain. Because to me, it's just a magical movie.
Yeah.
I think it's fun. I think it's funny. The singing is great. The dancing is great, just like in Singing in the Rain, that sort of thing. So I compare these two movies in that way. Again, they're not really alike, other than they both have songs and dancing or whatever. But I feel like this is on the same kind of level as a movie like Singing in the Rain, which I love.
Did you I'm changing subjects a little bit. That first scene where they're in the club or the lounge or whatever like that, and
where they can't talk. Yeah,
that felt very like Charlie Chaplin-esque to me. Like it felt very like was he called the Rascal, the Little Rascal,
the Tramp,
Little Tramp. Yeah, it felt like very that, and I was kind of looking forward to a little bit more of that kind of vibe. But it leaves it behind after that scene. But but I got a lot of like Chaplin kind of vibes from that.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. And I mean, obviously as a dancer, Fred Astaire was very communicative with his body. So yeah, maybe it'd be nice to see more things like that. Maybe he has things like that in some of his other movies. I don't know. The plots tend to all kind of run together in my mind.
They're like something happens, he dances. Something else happens, he dances. Pretty much.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I need to rewatch Swing Time again because I haven't seen that. So. I'm going to jump ahead and just say right now, when I was doing, kind of a little bit of research, not so much on the movie itself, but just its availability. Mm-hmm. No Fred Astaire, Ginger Rogers movie is available on Blu-ray except for Swing Time. In North America, at least. I think there's some other maybe imports that you can get, but I think that's baffling to me. The Blu-ray format has been around for quite a while now. I mean, and again, maybe I missed something, but I looked up every single one of their 10 films. I didn't see any Blu-ray for any of their movies except for Swing Time, which is a Criterion Blu-ray, but still. I'm surprised that a movie like Top Hat's not on Blu-ray because Top Hat and Swing Time are generally considered to be the top two Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers films. So I'm surprised that they don't have some kind of box set. Again, I don't know who has the rights to all this stuff. These were RKO pictures originally. I don't know who owns all that stuff. I don't keep up with that. But somebody needs to put out like a box set of all of their. I mean, just put out all their films. Something if possible. Maybe aside from Swing Time, since Criterion seems to have the rights at least.
10 movie collection.
Yeah, something.
4K Top Hat.
I think that'd be great. Yeah. But yeah, it's strange to me that none of these movies is on Blu-ray except for Swing Time. But I need to rewatch Swing Time because I know that's a beloved Astaire and Rogers film. So, any other final thoughts?
No, I don't have much. I enjoyed it. I'd be interested to check out some more of their outings together. Yeah, minus what we've watched this week for them. So it was good.
So this was nominated for several Academy Awards. It was nominated for Best Picture. It didn't win any, by the way. It was nominated for Best Picture. It lost to Mutiny on the Bounty. It was Clark Gable. Damn you, Clark Gable. And Charles Lawton as Captain Bligh. It was nominated for Best Song. Didn't win Best Song. Sorry, Irving Berlin. Bye. Gold Diggers of 1935 won that. I don't know what the song was. It was nominated for Best Art Direction. Some movie called The Dark Angel won that. The only Dark Angel I know is the Jessica Alba
TV show. James Cameron produced TV show.
I've never seen The Dark Angel.
Maybe that's one the same.
Hey, maybe so. Jessica Alba's really old and looks great. Best Dance Direction, which I was like, Best Dance Direction. Apparently that Oscar was only given out in 3 ceremonies. It was given out at the Academy Awards for 1936, 1937, and 1938, and it was never given out again. But Top Hat didn't even win that. Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers Dancing didn't win Best Dance Direction. Apparently, Broadway, it was a tie between Broadway Melody of 1936 and Folie Bergère de Paris. Ooh la la. Both of those movies split the vote and won Best Dance Direction. One of the 3 years.
I can't believe there's a tie. Has there ever been? I've never heard of a tie.
I think there's been some other. Yeah, there's been some other ties, but yeah, it's odd. It doesn't happen very often.
I don't think. I wonder if it can still happen nowadays, or if they have stuff to prevent it from happening.
To prevent that. Yeah. Top Hat was selected in 1990 for preservation in the National Film Registry. It's ranked number 15 on AFI's 2006 list of greatest movie musicals. Number 1, incidentally, is Singing in the Rain. This musical, Top Hat, a musical based on this film premiered in 2011. I don't know if it's still running, but it did premiere. I was not aware there was a musical that was on the stage of Top Hat. It's 100% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. It's 90% audience score, and Leonard Maltin gives it 4 out of 4 stars.
Nice.
So, yeah.
No Roger Ebert.
No, I didn't see any kind of retrospective like. Oh, I mean, occasionally with movies like this, he'll still have a print review of it on his website, but I didn't see anything. I'm willing to bet he was favorable on it.
Yeah,
but
seems like everyone is.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's our thoughts on Top Hat. On these Monday episodes, we always like to talk about what we've been watching. So I'm going to toss it over to you. What have you been watching?
All right. So, as you know, and maybe not everybody out there knows, the 5 people that watch this show, I'm a big fan of the movie Lost in Translation with Bill Murray and Scarlett Johansson. I think that's Sofia Coppola's best film to date. And if her newest film, what's it called? The one with Bill Murray and Rashida Jones. Oh, I don't even remember the name of it. I thought it was terrible.
Yeah, I remember.
If that is indicative of Sofia Coppola's work, please stop. Yeah, but no, I do love. I mean, I like a few of her films, or somewhat, but I really love Lost in Translation. So I watched a movie that reminded me of Lost in Translation that I also really like. Don't like it quite as much as Lost in Translation, but I still think if you're into Lost in Translation, you'll probably like this movie. It's a movie called Columbus with John Cho, Parker Posey, and damned if I can remember the lead girl's name. I wish I could remember it, but I cannot. But
Columbus.
It's called Columbus. So it's not Columbus, Ohio. I think it's Columbus, Indiana. Apparently that city is known for having some really cool architecture.
Yes, I've heard of this before. I've heard of that before.
And so I sat down and watched it, I don't know,
is it
4 or 5 nights
Richardson?
ago. Yes. Thank you. Haley Lou Richardson.
Yep.
Sorry, Haley, I forgot your name. Haley Lou Richardson, Parker Posey, John Cho, and I don't know that it has anybody else like big name in it. Wait. But I really enjoyed this film. It's a nice, quiet kind of film. Basically, John Cho comes home from South Korea because his father has fallen ill. He hasn't talked to his father in a while. His father's a professor there in Columbus, at the university there. And John Cho happens to meet the Haley Lee Richardson character, and they share a few days together, hanging out, talking about the city's architecture, talking about his father, talking about life in general. Again, reminds me a lot of Lost in Translation, where Scarlett Johansson meets Bill Murray's character. They kind of have a connection, not necessarily sexual or anything like that, just kind of like a spark, a kinship, a shared connection that they have. And this movie's a lot like that. It's quiet, it's somber, but I thought it was really good.
Oh, very cool.
I'm very into this kind of vibe. And again, this is not for people who love, super exciting movies only. If you're expecting like tons of cool shit to happen in this movie, you're going to be disappointed. But if you like a movie like Lost in Translation, then I would say check out Columbus. I thought it was very cool.
The reason why I heard about it is because the director had a movie that came out this year called After Yang that I heard really good things about, and they kind of did some of the people I listened to reviews on did a little bit of retrospective of his work.
Okay.
When that came out and stuff like that. But I've heard also really good things about After Yang, so that might be something that you might want.
I'm going to add that to my list, because I really enjoyed Columbus. I thought it was really good. The other thing I've been watching, and I mentioned this to you, I don't think I mentioned it on here, but I mentioned it to you. I watched The Last One Laughing, or LOL, on Amazon Prime Video. So a few years back, I guess Amazon did a show called Documental in Japan, and that has a few seasons, but now they're doing shows in practically every other country in the world besides the United States and besides the United Kingdom.
Yeah.
But they've got all these Last One Laughing shows in Canada and Australia and Germany and Spain and Mexico and I think Brazil and India and lots of other countries, where they gather 10 comedians, I think it's 10 comedians in a room. I mean, it's a pretty big room and has adjoining rooms and things where they can like put their props and stuff. I watched the Canadian series. There's only one season right now, the Canadian series. And each one is typically 6 episodes, I think is pretty much the format, ranging from 25 to 35 to 45 or so minutes. Some of them are a little bit longer than others. But I enjoy the Canadian one because I actually knew some of the Canadian comedians. Yeah. And at the time, I thought I probably won't watch some of these other ones because I started watching documental and I was a little underwhelmed by it.
Yeah.
Even though that's kind of the one that started it all, I was kind of underwhelmed by it. But I decided because I like to laugh. I like comedy. I do. Uh, and so I sat down and thought, you know what? I'm gonna watch some of these other countries because there's a subreddit, a Last One Laughing subreddit, and a lot of people are like, oh yeah, this country's episodes are terrible, and this
Yeah.
country, I'm not gonna say which ones, but they're like, oh whatever. So I was like, oh, I don't know about that. So I kind of carefully was like, oh, I'm gonna watch this or watch that. So I started watching the Mexico one, and I finished the first season of the German one. But I like it. I mean, I like watching them. It's something I can put on. And I'm not fluent in either of those languages in Spanish or German, but so I do have to read the subtitles or whatever. But I don't have to think.
Yeah.
I'm sure I'm reading their subtitles or whatever, so I do have to I can't just be looking away. I need to be looking at the TV, but I don't really have to think. And worst comes to worst, I don't think any of it's funny. And I can try and watch the French one, or I can try and watch the one from Spain or something like that. But the Mexico one's okay so far. I'm not that far into it. The first season, I really love the German one. I thought the German one was awesome and was really funny and made me laugh a lot. So I think kind of what I'm gonna do is just bounce around and watch one episode from India and one episode from this other country and one episode and just kind of surf around like that. But I think it's a good idea. I think it's fun to watch them try and make each other laugh. And it's not that much fun when somebody doesn't do anything. They just sit there just trying not to look at other people. I don't really like that. And that does happen occasionally. But for the most part, people are on the offensive and they're trying to make other people laugh. And so I think that part of it is funny. I think it's funny the additional things that each kind of show, each variation of the show, because they do different things in different countries.
Yeah.
But each variation of the show does different things, so it's always interesting to kind of see what they do there. And then part of it is just a mental thing. You're drained after you've been in there for 3, 4, 5 hours, and it's you're because you're trying to hold in laughter, and it's it messes with your head. So it's interesting to see the psychological impact that it has on some of the people. So I'm going to continue to watch it. And I mean, apparently Amazon's, not slowing down on making these shows in all these different countries and all these different seasons. So I enjoy it. So I'm gonna keep on trucking with Last One Laughing. LOL.
Last One Laughing. All right.
What about you?
So I watched a new movie that came out, I think within the last week or so, to Amazon Prime called 13 Lives. Eagle-eyed viewers of the show, eagle-eyed viewers, people who watch the show will know that I mentioned a while back that I watched a documentary that is based on the same event that this movie's based off of, and it's the 13 Thai soccer players. They got trapped in the cave, and they had to send cave divers in to go get them to pull them out. Right?
I remember that.
So this is the dramatic version of that, and I'm torn on. I think, and this is directed by Ron Howard. It stars Viggo Mortensen as Colin Farrell in it. I'm torn how I feel about this movie, because I don't feel like it adds a whole lot that the documentary didn't have. There's nothing that I learned about the characters or about the people from this movie or felt like I had a closer connection to him than I did over the documentary. And I think the documentary is really well done.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's bad. So I think it's one of those things if you haven't seen the documentary, it might be worthwhile. Or if you really like the documentary and want to see something like it, it's worthwhile. But if it's just kind of like the way I watch it, where you're kind of not really looking forward to it, but kind of watched it anyways, it just didn't really bring a whole lot to it to me. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I think the problem is because I really adore the documentary. So I think if I had to choose between the two, I'd choose the documentary over this movie. But if documentaries aren't your thing, I think this is worth seeing and all that kind of stuff, because the documentary, they have footage of the divers, from news footage, and they brought cameras with them. So I mean, there's more cinematic stuff in Ron Howard's movie, but it's like you still see the guys like going in and diving and see the kids in the cave and all that kind of stuff. So the documentary still has a lot of stuff to show you and stuff like that. So it's not like all talking heads and stuff like that, you know?
Yeah.
But it's not bad. It just it's not as good as the documentary in my opinion. So that's one thing I watched. The other thing I watched is The Long Way Round. So this is a series from way back in like 2006, 2004, 2006. And it stars Ewan McGregor and his friend Charlie Borman. And they basically get on motorcycles and they're going to go around the world the long way around. So they're going to start off in England and drive east through like all those countries like Russia, like Kazakhstan, Mongolia, all the way up the Road of Bones, I believe, to some point, then fly over to Alaska and drive through Alaska, Canada, all the way down to New York in like one continuous-ish motorcycle trip. And it's a series I've seen. This is my third time watching it. I really like the series. It's a lot of fun. He's done he's done three of these so far with Charlie Borman. So he's done The Long Way Round, which is the first one, the one that I'm watching. He's done The Long Way Down, which starts off in like Scotland and goes all the way down to the southern tip of Africa.
Mm.
And then he's done The Long Way Up, where they start in South America. Actually, they might start in Antarctica. They either started the tip of South America or Antarctica, and they go all the way up to Canada, I believe. Maybe they go to the U.S. I don't remember where they go in that one, but he's done three of these, and it's really interesting. So it's like documentary style. Like they have cameras mounted on their helmets, they have cameras mounted on their motorcycle. They have like a cameraman they hired, Claudio, who is crazy and it's hilarious. He like gets in so many accidents, like always falling off his bike. It's weird. And then you have two producers that are kind of following him, but not like super close. Like they meet up at borders, but they kind of take their own route. And you know, if they need help, they can kind of meet up and stuff like that. And it's just really interesting. It's really, I like this whole like, let's travel, let's visit like the continent we're in, or let's visit the world kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And it gives them a chance to kind of do that, and you get to see it through their eyes and all that kind of stuff. So I find it really easy and really fun to watch that kind of show, right? I think that's interesting. You know, there's a program that was produced by a couple of kids in Canada called Detour that's really great, where two friends rent an RV and they drive around Canada and they drive around the US. It's really cool. Like I like these kind of like programs where people do that stuff. It's interesting like how the situations that Ewan McGregor and Charlie find themselves in, where people are trying to be hospitable and they're trying to be, you know, gracious and accepting, but then they find themselves like, I'm in this strange house with this person I've never met who I believe is a police officer, and they're putting us up for the night. And it's like, okay, and they just kind of roll with it, you know, just like stuff that's very much outside your comfort zone, and they're not trying to like stay at the Ritz or stay at these fancy places. They're really trying to get a good shot of the culture and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Through it. And the new one, The Long Way Up. Sorry, I feel like I'm going on too long. The new one, The Long Way Up, they actually do it on electric motorcycles, which is crazy. But this one, Long Way Around, we're almost through with it. It's a really good show. I really like it. It's on Apple Plus because Apple TV Plus, because Apple TV Plus produced The Long Way Up, so they have rights to all three series of the show or whatever, and so it's really good.
What did it originally air on? Long Way Around. You said it's kind of old, right?
Yeah, 2004. Some UK channel probably.
Oh, okay.
It's like either the BBC or Sky or some channel over there. And then it was brought over. I mean, I think a lot of people watched it either on PBS here or DVD.
That's cool.
Because I watched it on DVD initially.
I don't think I've ever heard of it.
It's really good. It's definitely worth checking out if it sounds interesting. And it just, and Ewan McGregor's just, he's a fascinating person, right? And
Is he? I don't know.
I think he is. He's kind of, and he's kind of like, this is after like the Star Wars stuff kind of hit, like Moulin Rouge hit and stuff like that, you know. But I think he's more like, his train spotting person than the character than he is like Ben Kenobi and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't do drugs, but you know what I mean? He's more like carefree. Maybe he does.
You sure?
More carefree and all that kind of stuff.
What were they doing when the cameras weren't rolling,
Yeah.
huh?
Well,
Shooting up some hair,
probably.
sticking some suppositories up his rear end, I bet.
I'm trying to remember. I think there is a part with suppositories, or is that something else I was watching? I will say that Charlie smokes in it, and you can see a couple times where he's trying to hide the cigarette because I guess they didn't want to show him smoking.
Yeah.
But there's a couple times where you just see him like this real quick with a cigarette. Yeah,
We rolling?
stuff like that.
Don't smoke, kids.
Yeah,
don't smoke.
So long. I think it's really awesome. If you want to watch it, I will make sure you have access to watch it. Long way round.
What if I want to do the long way? What if I want to travel the long way around? Will I have access to that? I'd love to do that.
We can figure that out.
Fairly costly, but
that's on my list of things I'd like to do.
It'd be awesome.
We have a friend that we used to work with that will probably go with us. So, anyways, that's what we've been watching. So we watched a Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers movie today, and you said they've done quite a few.
They have.
So maybe it would be a good candidate for us to watch another one. I don't know. What do you think? What did you pair with Top Hat? Was it Swing Time?
I don't think we should watch. We should watch another Jack Lemmon, Walter Matthau. No, yes, I did. I paired Top Hat with another Fred Astaire, Ginger Rogers movie. I did not pair it with Swing Time. I thought we would do something a little different. Actually, they made 9 pictures together at RKO. Their last picture for RKO was in 1939, and they did not do another picture together until 1949, a full decade later. And that's the movie that we're going to talk about on Wednesday. It's their final film together. It's the only one that they did in color, and it's called The Barkleys of Broadway.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, stay tuned for that on Wednesday, guys. That was Top Hat and what we've been watching. Please like, subscribe, share, do all that social media stuff with the episode. It really does help, and we really do appreciate it. If you're watching us on YouTube, please leave a comment below. Let us know what you think of Top Hat and all that kind of stuff. And stay tuned Wednesday when we figure out who are the Barkleys, why they're on Broadway. I mean, there's so many different questions that we have to know.
Is it Charles Barkley?
Yeah. Is it Gnarls Barkley?
Is it Gnarls Barkley?
Yeah, we don't know, but we're going to find out soon. See you on Wednesday, guys. Have a good one. Bye.